Welcome back. Today we're doing a product review of a Tesmen Smart Digital Clamp Meter, model TCM-300D. Let me tell you a little bit about this device. Now, they did send this out for me to review, but I requested it because I did some research and I thought that this was a great one to look at. One of my multimeters went out and was no longer functional, so I wanted a more modern one. I wanted one that had the clamp style on it to be able to do some tests. I wanted to do some of the other things that it can do, like the NCD, no contact. So this digital clamp multimeter is a 6,000 counts multimeter, and that's the sensitivity of it. And the voltage tester of it is with both AC and DC current. So you could say that's current, you could say voltage, both. It's auto ranging, and the voltmeter has an inrush capacitance resistance diode continuity, non-contact voltage, or NCV. Sometimes they call that to see if there's a live wire in there. And it comes with some of the following things. Alright, this is the unboxing of it, so let's give it a look. Received it just like this. Nice retail type box. You can see it has a flashlight functionality, continuity test, multiple functions, data hold, the NCV part, and it has that smart measurement mode. Now, you might see some other devices from Vivor, you might see Astro AI, Camway. Any of those devices might be similar to this, but this one is unique in not only its color, but also its functionality, the LCD screen, and more. So getting right to it, it's divided up into the user manual. Now, I've never opened this box before, so you're seeing an unboxing with me as well. User manual is actually a pretty thick manual to have these days for a manual, rather than relying on just the PDF. Let's go ahead and read a little bit of an about page here. A 3-year warranty. Now, that's something you don't see lately. They teach you right out of the box what all the symbols on the multimeter mean. Gives you the specs of the device and more. I just sometimes test the manual to see how well it might be written, because a lot of times these are coming from overseas. It looks like they picked up a couple languages in here, so it is a thick manual, but then it goes to other languages. So you're looking at really for English the first 10 or 15 pages actually. Alright, let's unzip this and get right to it here. See what we've got. Duracell batteries. That's something I haven't seen. Haven't seen in a long time, right? A name brand battery. Let's just look at these, because now it's got me curious. Not for retail sale. Certainly looks like a genuine Duracell battery. 3 of those in there. The multimeter itself. And the cables for testing, the leads, etc. If you watch my videos, you know that I am by no means an electrician. But you can't get by without a multimeter if you're an advanced do-it-yourself person. So that's in a bag, hermetically sealed. Just kidding, I don't even know what that means. Here's the clamp functionality to where you can measure, I believe it's the amperage when you put a wire through there. Nice display, power button, flashlight button. To put the batteries in, you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. Still surprised with Duracell batteries. Usually it'd be some no-name battery. Put your negative side on the spring, negative side on the spring, little beep confirmation, little triple beep confirmation, I guess. Alright, this is your function button. We're going to check some of the things here, and I've got it on continuity check, which is that indicator right there. That means open line, I believe. My layman's terms might mean something else. Open lead, open line. That's because the two leads are not connected. It's showing no continuity. When something like a wire has no continuity, it's broken. But when it comes together, watch the OL. Shows you that there's continuity in your connection. So if you wanted to test a long wire to see if it had a break in it, the screwdriver will say is one end of the wire and this is the other end. Anything that's conductive there's enough crud on that screwdriver that it was I had to move it back and forth a little bit, but that showed you the continuity check. So that's one of the simplest things that you can do with a multimeter. One of the other things that you can do apparently on this multimeter is you can do a NCV, or check for non-contact voltage, meaning you don't even have to touch the wires to be able to see if there's electricity in the circuit. NCV. You see that we've got electricity going through this wire. So that's a really neat test that you can do. I've got another device that can do that that's as big as a screwdriver, but that's a handy thing to have on a multimeter. Non-contact voltage. Okay, so let's test the voltage of a battery. These Thunderbolt batteries come from Harbor Freight. Seem like a pretty good deal. They've lasted for a lot of stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're on the voltage, which should be auto sensing on this. Some multimeters will have an AC and DC, but I believe this one's auto sensing, and it should be that V there for voltage. So let's get over to the V and the green side. I went past it. It's on voltage there. And this is a 1.5 volt battery. I'm not sure it's totally charged, but let's see what it reads. Let's put them on the right side or they'll show up the opposite. I'm going to put these contacts on each end, and we have 1.94, and you see it's reading DC there in blue. I don't know if you can see that, but over here it says DC. And it's reading out in the positive direction because I have the leads right. If I back off the leads and I change them around, it'll read out in the negative direction. So that's an easy one to check. Let's check another thing. Let's check for AC voltage. Okay, I put that into an outlet, a regular outlet next to me, because that extension cord is too hard to get the contacts onto, and it read 125.7, and I was able to lock that value using that switch right there. So that was pretty neat. It was auto sensing once I did that. The voltage was auto sensing. Totally cool there, because DC, AC does not matter. I can't tell you how many times with my other multimeter where you select AC or DC that I screwed up and didn't have it on AC or DC and kept wondering why it wasn't reading right. But that fixes that. Now you can do a lot of other things with this. As I said, I'm a layman. If you want to look at some of the other readings on there, you see that all of them in there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to test the temperature sensor. We're going to measure some water temperature. We're going to put this over onto Celsius and Fahrenheit. I thought I was going to get a cup of water, but then I remembered I had a piece of ice. So let's put the temperature probe right on there. See what we get. Look at the top. That's Fahrenheit, 30 degrees. And then the bottom is Celsius. Freezing is below zero, of course, with Celsius, so there's negative 0.8. And that's just sitting right on top of that ice cube. Pretty cool. Now let's just warm it up with our fingers and went straight back up to 80 degrees. Very cool, very cool. Let's test that flashlight functionality. What you do is the flashlight comes out this little thing right here. This little, it's not a very bright flashlight, but it sure will help you out in the bind. So it's a nice little feature to have. You hold it down for a few seconds and it turns on and off. Okay, how to use the amp meter. The amp meter clamp side is going to measure current of an insulated wire. But here's the thing, you can't just put it around an extension cord because it will cancel each other out. The incoming wire and the neutral. And my leads are right here. I'm going to make sure that one of them is clamped. A 220 system splits. So it's auto ranging, which is really nice because you don't have to think about anything on this one, and that's one of the things about this. And so it's on one of the two leads, so it's going to measure the amps in that. So when I turn on my pump, my pool pump, to draw some amperage, you'll see it's drawing on that leg over 6 amps. And if I were to clamp it on the other leg, it's going to be drawing the same exact amount because my pool system is a 220, 240 system. So pretty cool there that it can do that. So I couldn't find anything at the pool to test, so I found my sprinkler system, and it's got a DC wall wart that comes up here, and I've got the wire separated, and it actually reads DC. So it's an AC DC clamp meter. I mean, some of you may be reading this saying, duh, but the cheaper clamp meters can only read AC. This is a nicer one. It can do both AC and DC. It's measuring the current flowing through that wire right there. And of course it's saying it's, you know, very, very small amperage off of that. So not even 1 amp. So there you have it. The Tesmen Smart Digital Clamp Meter, TCM-300D. Can do all sorts of stuff. Very happy with it. It's high end as far as being able to do anything that you want. And you saw me having to learn a couple of tests because I usually don't use all the features of a digital multimeter anyhow. There's other things that it can do that we did not test, like a capacitive test. That's great for air conditioners and some things like that. So just know all those functionalities are in there. We tested the hold feature. We tested the temperature probe, we tested the leads, we tested AC, we tested DC, we tested the clamp meter in both directions and things like that. If you will, we also tested the non-contact voltage. So if you will, if you're considering buying this, I'll put a link to the Amazon link down below. I do have an Amazon Associates account. I literally get a few pennies, but it does help support the channel. If you buy it, it doesn't cost you anything. I appreciate you using the link. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.